Okay. My event is starting. Okay, looks like we are live. Just check a couple more things here, and I think that we are good to go. That's pretty loud. Let's turn that down. I'm going to pause it, and we will go ahead and transition scenes. There. Now, welcome to the stream. Sean here. Just getting started. I'm hoping this comes through okay. Usually I stream at a higher bit rate, but my internet seems to be struggling right now. So I have dropped the bit rate in order to make it work. Let me grab this so that I can grab a monitor on things if I want to. There we go. Okay. Okay. So last night I was streaming and we're, really close to the end of the road and the computer crashed. So I went ahead and, sorry, it's saying that my stream quality is bad again, just a second. That looks okay. Okay. Anyway, I was making the delivery. Looks like last time it saved, at least I was about 160 kilometers from the end. Drove from Austria to Lithuania. Right now I'm in Russia, but I'm heading to Lithuania. Anyway, so I went ahead and just called it at that point instead of trying to make everybody wait. It takes about 10 minutes from the time I launch Eurotruck to when I get in with Pro Mods and Rus maps both enabled. So I stopped at that point and decided I'd just finish it up next time I stream. So that is now. I've also remapped a few of the buttons. I may talk about that as I go along, but my other mapping wasn't working as well as I hoped. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I did want to I should have done this already. I've been fighting through some technical difficulties though, so I wanted to look at my clutch. I'm actually gonna something like that. And then the brake, I wanted to check. Last night it seemed to be it's much better today. I've got to hit it harder to make it go. Okay, we're good. So back out of there now. Still missing the escape key on my steering wheel. Let's get going. Oh. So seeing how low I am on fuel makes me want to fuel up. I've actually got still like 800 kilometers left on the tank, so I'm not actually that close to running out. It just looks like I am because it's a really big tank. Anyway, I did a little driving in between because I'm trying to figure out why it's crashing, like what's causing it to crash. Is it my computer's just overloading? What is it that's actually prompting that crash? Because I've had it the last 3 times I've streamed, it crashes on me. I don't know if my computer's getting too hot, what the case is. Anyway, it still says that the stream health is only okay. I was gonna remap some things. I did it on my other one real quick, so I wanted to remap. I replanned my layout a little bit here. A lot of it's the same, but I was finding that the hat isn't working well for what I used to use the D-pad for. So I'm going to mix things up a little bit, and we are going to go, I need the lights. Light mode is going to be here. High beams are going to be here, and wipers are going to be here. And then the cruise control is going to be turned on with left, increased with up. No, turned on with left, increased with up. No, left, down, and resume. Okay, so that way, so that's what I was trying out just before I got on here, was to see if that would work well for me. Come on. Oh, it doesn't think I'm in gear, huh? Why is the cruise not working? Did I not just... Okay. Technical difficulties here. Keys. Cruise. Left. Up. Come on, left. Up. And this is why I'm not so sure this is going to work, but... one thing I'm not liking about this rally steering wheel is the hat instead of a D-pad. I'm not a fan of that. I wish they had gone with the D-pad instead. The hat is not nearly as precise. I'm having a difficult time with it, and part of it is it's on there slightly kilter, so I'm not sure whether it's actually slightly off or what, and so I think I'm end up pushing about halfway in between instead of where I actually should be pushing it. So okay, it's still complaining about the quality of my stream, so hopefully this works out okay. Like I said, usually I stream at like 13 megabits, and right now I'm streaming at 9, and it's still struggling. I think it's about time to call my internet provider, because I've been pretty happy with their service up until now. I've had good luck with it, but the last few days it has been less than ideal. Oh man, I almost... Okay. So I'm just gonna kind of block the view here because they went and... I was going to get a ticket there if I kept going, so hopefully, you know what, I can probably... Oh well. Oh, that's why I couldn't go anywhere. Oh well, hopefully they can get by me. Barely. It's okay, I understand. Come on, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Motorhome. Come on. We'll go ahead and use the crawler gear. Again, this is about all my truck can handle, so. Seem to have a bit of a difficult time getting started, so. It might pay to get a slightly larger engine. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not a big fan of this hat in place of a D-pad. A D-pad would definitely be better. I wonder if I could do... So on my old steering wheel, so I used to have a DualShock 4 connected to it. and what I would use it in conjunction with my wheel for some extra buttons. Wrong. And there we go. And I actually zip tied it to the wheel so that I could have them readily available. And despite being a little chintzy, it was actually pretty effective, and allowed me to have a lot more buttons available. I just did it at the bottom. But then I went from the DualShock 4, or actually it was a Logitech 310, G310, no, just G10, or 310 I think is what they're called, which is like a DualShock 4 controller, but it's made by Logitech and it's much cheaper, and it's a wired connection. And so that's what I was initially using. And then I switched over to an actual DualShock 4 controller, and it wouldn't stay. Like, it didn't hold in the same way that the Logitech one had. Now we're gonna keep going. And so I stopped doing that, and I started just having it, actually before I got the Mega Shifter, I had it right by the shifter as well. And that worked fairly well, because with the short shifter, I could just hit the buttons, and I've got videos of me playing like that. But with the Mega Shifter, it's enough taller that that doesn't work anymore either. So I guess the advantage of getting more real buttons is also a disadvantage, because it keeps me from being able to use that type of a setup. And so then I had to go away from that. So now I've got this number keypad over here that I use for similar reasons. But it would be nice if I could figure out a way to have one closer on hand, and I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I'll have to play with some things outside of the stream and see if I can figure out, oh, that's not what I want. That's what I want. I changed stuff up. Anyway, I'm sorry. I am going to be right back. I'm going to just switch over to my other view for a second. I want to go grab something. I'll be back. Okay, I am back. So what I would, I just grabbed some caffeine here because I seem to just sit here and yawn every stream. So I was wondering if I could maybe nip that in the bud. So anyway, I would actually prefer to get my Steam controller set up in such a way that it was useful. Ugh. That it was useful. Sorry, it forgets where my Mega Shifter settings are when I exit the game or go into menus or whatever the case is. I have to remember to cycle them before I start shifting around. Otherwise I end up dropping at lots of gears. Anyway, it would be nice to get the Steam controller somewhere near where I could have a few buttons more easily or more readily available. Maybe I could get me a more usable D-pad ready at hand. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to keep messing around with my setup basically until I get what I want. Okay, so speed limit of 70 kilometers per hour. And apparently I need to sleep soon. I wonder if it last saved it before I had slept 2 hours. I can make the delivery before I sleep. We're good. $40 for the train tracks, I assume. Oh. My bad. These are uncontrolled. I'm supposed to stop. Ooh, there's a Jetta. I totally used to have a Jetta like that. I still miss that Jetta. Not the fastest car, but it's probably the favorite car I've ever owned. And I've thought about maybe at some point buying another one, even though it'd be even older. So it was a 96 Jetta GL, so the 2.0, or as people would call it, the 2 slow. I had that car for 8 years. But, oh, what? 130,000 miles on it or something like that. Oh, I probably should have stopped there. It was at 260,000 miles when I sold it. It was a great car. I still watch for them to this day. Okay, so that's not my turn. That's a shortened circle. And the little 5-speed on it was interesting because it actually was really imprecise. It just you kind of flopped it in the direction you wanted it to shift, and it made it every time. I don't think I ever missed a shift on that thing. But it was very imprecise in its shifting, yet it worked great. Like I said, I may have chosen the wrong gear sometimes, but I don't think I ever actually missed a gear. And nope, I got it. I just took a screenshot of whatever that is. Wrong button. And I cannot seem to get going. Let's try this again. Oh, it still thinks I was in first, that's why. I say even with a crawler gear I can't get going. I'm not doing so well. Talking about... Oh, come on. Oh, and that Jetta had the easiest, like, it was the easiest thing to drive in the world. It was great. I got like 36 miles per gallon on the freeway. By the time I sold it, I wasn't doing as well. And the reason I sold it is because it had problems. But since not owning it, I think I figured out what those problems were and that I probably could have fixed them. Now, as you can see, I'm not a big guy. I've got a brother-in-law who's 6'3" or something. And it was not such a great car for him. In fact, there was a time that I didn't realize how small of a car it was because I'm not a big guy until I took him for a ride, and it was not a big enough car for him, and I could see why he would not have wanted to own it. But for me and for my family at the time, it was a great car. Now, one of the problems I face now is with 3 kids, it would not have enough space for us. It had enough space when I had 2 kids who were babies, although you could barely fit car seats in there. And actually, I did use it, let's see, on the 3rd kid, when my 3rd kid was in a rear-facing seat and my 2 other kids were in forward-facing seats. Then I could still, we still used it at that point. But once they all moved to rear-facing seats, and it didn't run well. Like, it would get out on on a hot day and you turn on the AC and it would just start stuttering. And I think since that I figured out that it was probably a mass airflow sensor problem. Oh, I need to find a place to sleep. I should have been watching for that. Oh, you know what? I was just gonna do delivery, but maybe, you know what? We're gonna head over here and sleep, and then we'll make the delivery afterwards, because I would rather make the delivery during the day if I can anyway. So anyway, I think it was the mass airflow sensor in the end, but it would run great all winter, and then it would come summertime when I had to start running the AC, and I was using it as my commuter car, and so I commuted out in the middle of nowhere, and it would just I was not feeling like it was going to reliably get me to and from work anymore. Now that was too bad too, because I had the reverse gear go out on it, on the transmission, so I ended up buying a used transmission on like eBay or something, and swapping out the transmission. And while I had it open, I had this harebrained idea that I'd go ahead and rebuild the engine. I mean, it was like 240,000 miles or something like that, and so I was like, you know, it could probably use a rebuild, even though it was running fine at the time. And so I took it all apart and rebuilt it, and we got it apart, and we're checking all the tolerances and stuff, and it didn't need rebuilt. I never should have taken the thing apart. I think that I probably caused more wear than I solved, because there were some things like the valves that you can't even regrind and stuff, and so in the end I ended up, I think I wasn't really all that, you know what? Let's go ahead and, no, I'm not going to. Oh. Oh, come on. I'm tempted to go to buy a bigger engine. With how hard it is to get started. And then I keep grabbing the wrong gear. Let's try this again. I do wish, and I think I say this on like half my streams, I wish that they would get it down right, because in a real semi, you shouldn't have to give it any throttle to start, so I wish they would get that right. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a rest here. About smashing that Kenworth right there. Yeah, it is a Kenworth, okay. No. That's not what I meant to do. And let's turn the headlights off. This one. And get some sleep. Since I'm yawning up a storm anyway. Okay, so I think I might just go ahead and flip a UE here. And pull up to that. If I flip a UE, am I going to end up... I can't just flip a UE, I'm going to hit that guy as the back end of my trailer swivels around. Okay, let's get back inside and we will go ahead. Oh, parking brake. Oh, I actually want to check that real quick, because I don't think that it is. Options, gameplay, automatic parking dialogue, sure. Air brake simulation. See, I swear that the air brake simulation doesn't do anything, because I've got it turned on and I never run out of air brakes. Okay, let's see how much it would cost to upgrade this engine just a little bit. I don't want to go overboard or anything. Upgrade shop. Engine. I go to like a 500 horsepower. Would be... Oh, interesting. That's good to know. That's probably going to be the problem across the board. So that means... Okay, so if I go yes on that guy, and then I go to the transmissions, and I go to you. Oh, that's a net difference of 18. Nope, I'm not going to do it. Leave. Yes. I did want to see about maybe, though. Do I want to... No. Okay, I guess I'll leave that guy where he is. I was thinking about moving that, but let's go ahead and see what we have in the way of service. Not even worth it. Okay. Well, I guess my truck didn't need service that badly after all. Anyway, yeah, so I went ahead and I, as a project together with my dad, we rebuilt the engine on that. He's quite the grease monkey, much more so than I am. But we got it apart, and it was like, this thing didn't even need it. Like, it was, even at 230,000 miles, the tolerances were still great. There was not really anything that needed to be rebuilt on it. I mean, I just did it because, well, I had it apart anyway, and I thought, you know, it would be good. And then I found out, well, I couldn't do a valve job anyway. There was lots of stuff that I couldn't really do on it, so it ended up not being all that useful, and probably in the end, especially costing me money and time that didn't do me any good, and frankly, it probably was better off before I did that. I totally just grabbed for the wrong gear again. This starting off in the crawler gear is throwing me off. No, there. Okay. So I'm going to be turning up here. Anyway, long story short, too late. I love that car. And so it was a 96, and they stuck with that body style up through like 99, I think it was, is when they went to the Mark IV, was in 2000. So anyway, so I've debated on getting another one, but at this point, it would have so many miles on it. I do like the next body style as well. The Mark IV is a nice car, although I still think I like the other one better. But I could definitely get a Mark IV with less miles on it. On the flip side, I could get a Mark III with, you know, for almost nothing these days, probably. I mean, I sold mine for $800 3 years ago. So if I use that for a guide, I could probably get one for next to nothing these days. Oh, I was still in high range. I was like, why is it struggling so much? And it's like, because you're in the wrong gear, dummy. Anyway, I actually debated back at the time, and, you know, or I wanted to. I didn't have the means, but I wanted to do an electric vehicle conversion on it. And were I to do that, that would still be probably my car of choice to do it with. The problem is, doing a good one would cost $15,000 to $20,000, which is way more than the car's worth, and so it would probably be a bad financial decision to do it. Came into that one kind of fast. Okay. So I'm wondering if I should use my retarder before I use my brakes, my engine brake. This could be an interesting delivery. Okay, let's see where they want it. Ooh, right there, huh? So I'm gonna have to just hang a hard left here. Oh, come on. You know what? I wonder if actually adjusting my clutch would help me on these takeoffs as well. So I did have trying to kind of represent the clutch brake, but I think if I don't, I'll actually have a better time at getting it started. So where was I going with that? Escape. We'll see. Or not. Or not. And that's as far as I've got. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Okay. So now okay, so where exactly is this guy going? Okay, so just kip him a little bit that way. We should be just fine. Oh, I'm still going forward instead of back anyway. Not that that's what made me stall or anything, but... Oh, come on! Okay, I think I'm pretty much on the right track. The mirror over there is so small that it's hard to see. Nope, that way just a little bit. Now straighten it out. That way just a little bit. Almost there. I should just disable the auto parking prompt, but sometimes I actually take it up. So, not very often. Oh, too much, too much. I'm not very happy with this parking job. Let's see how happy I am if I look from the outside. You know what? It works. They're happy with it, I guess I'll accept it. Okay. So, 35 minutes in. Oh, late? I should have delivered it last night instead of taking that rest. I shouldn't have slept. I should have went and made the delivery. I should have gone and made the delivery. Okay. Well, lost me $200 there. Let's see what we got. So I am currently up in Tauraja, however that's said, Lithuania, right on the edge of Lithuania. So let's look at the freight market. There. So I would love to get back to Italy, but I don't know if I'm ever going to make it down there. So I got into Russia, which would, make the fact that I'm using Rus maps worthwhile. That could be a fun one. I could also drop to Poland or Nederland. Is that Nederland? Oh, Norway, not Nederland. I was going to say that's not Denmark. Or Sweden. Or Malmo. Or Kolm's Russia. You know what? Is that first one heavy? We're going to do him. He's light. He pays well. Let's go to Russia. Anybody disagrees, weigh in on the chat. But I think I'm going to head to Russia. So, there we go. Set his GPS. Cool. And that's actually right here, so I don't even have to go anywhere to pick it up. Apparently I just can't start off anyway. Oh. Engine brake's still on. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. Freight market. Some kind of a tank or a tractor. It looks like it's a tractor trailer. Okay, so I'm gonna pick him up where? My guess is in the back corner over there. Okay. Which means I'm going to, yeah, we'll go. Oh, come on. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Looks like I came the right way anyway. Hidden back in there. Ooh, I'm gonna smash their glass out. What does that sound? Oh, wrong one. Okay. First try. It was a little off, but close enough. The advanced trailer coupling still accepted it. Okay. So let's go ahead and we are gonna hop out. And we're going to do a tug test here. Yep, we are connected. Let's check our lights. Okay, we should be good to go. And given that we're turning left out there, we are going to go to the left right here as well. how long is this guy? He's fairly long. Not insanely long. There are definitely longer ones, but he's fairly long. Okay, so I need, within the next, how long? Next 500 kilometers to find a place to fuel up. So, I probably ought to watch for gas stations at this point. Oh, that was close. And that's my left. So hopefully I remember when I get to a gas station here. Definitely accelerating faster now. Going from a 22-ton trailer to an 8-ton trailer. Oh. Okay. Okay. Guess I should get up to speed, huh? $80. Except I'm turning right. Probably at that windmill right there. And actually, I'm supposed to be going 50 now. There's a part of me that always wonders on these non-done areas what it looks like over there if I keep going. And there are times when I've done it, at some point you run out of stuff and fall off the edge of the world. I've only once fallen off the edge of the world on accident. But there are many times that I almost have. Just because I wasn't paying attention usually. But okay, let's go ahead and get over. So I have yield here. Totally cut that. I still need to figure out how to do these corners better. As I keep, hey, there's where I spent the night and ended up late. Should have delivered and then spent the night, but oh well. Live you learn, then you get loves or something like that. So I've been watching 2 different streams of God of War. One of them I've been watching with my kids, and one of them on my own, and depending on the day I'm ahead with one or the other. But the one stream is a streamer called Eponema, and she's a German woman who streams, and so it gives me a chance to practice my German, which is a lot of fun. The other one's just no commentary stream with my kids, watching it more like a movie than somebody live streaming a video game, but just with the no commentary. Anyway, Ipa, as everybody calls her. It's pretty fun to watch stream, and I find myself slipping into German thinking because I'm listening to enough German on a daily basis that as I wander around the house, I'm just forming phrases in my mind in German instead of in English, which is nice because I don't generally get enough German in these days for that to be the case. Let's see, going a little bit fast. No, that's not what I wanted. Got to get used to my new button mapping. Okay, so I think that is mounted straight up in there. Yes, I'm running out of fuel. And by running out of fuel, it actually means I have less than 500 kilometers left. Which, for a 1,200 kilometer journey, I need to get fuel before the end. Although 500 kilometers, if I look at how long I have till I have to sleep, 7 hours, 6 hours. So if it's 6 hours times 80, I mean, I could drive the rest of the day on that, pretty much. And we're gonna do that. Let's give it a try here. I want to see if I can actually make it to my rest stop on this much fuel. So I have 6 hours and 30 minutes, which means that I need to be sleeping at 1800 or 6 p.m. So at 5 p.m. I need to be looking for a place to sleep. Which, if I were to look at the map and estimate, oh, I gotta do that too. We'll hit all these cool little cities on the way past so I could get them and make discoveries and stuff. Rezenka. Rizkiv. Rizhev. Volokolomosk, huh? Is that where Voldemort's from? That could be where Voldemort's from. And I will be driving through Moscow, which I'm sure to hit some frame rate problems there. And then all the way over there. Okay, so that turned into a 20-hour journey now. But again, I'm just going to keep driving, and when it gets close to my rest time, in fact, let's go. We're good for now. Anyway, so it's fun to practice my German and to get to thinking in German a little bit again. Now, my German has suffered. It's been 15 years since I used it heavily, and so it's not what it used to be. And I get on a kick here and there to practice it and review it. And then I've also been using an app on my phone called Duolingo. No, they're not paying me. I wish they would, but they're not. But I've been using an app, Duolingo, to try to learn some Spanish as well, because my second and my third child starting next year are in a dual immersion program. Loan installment. Are in a dual immersion Spanish program. And so I've been trying to pick up a little bit of Spanish to be able to converse with them in their... My second laughs at me more than anything when I try to speak with him in Spanish, but he was really excited when I first started because he's like, sweet, I'm going to be able to talk with you, and then he came to realize just how little Spanish I know. So we exchange phrases here and there, but he doesn't try to converse with me anymore. Anyway, so I'm going back and forth between learning Spanish and reviewing my German as well. So on the Duolingo, it gives you the option of adding in multiple languages, and so I've been taking advantage of that. And I try and they have these little, 2 or 3 minute courses that you do, or lessons. And so I try to do I try to do 2 of them in Spanish and 1 in German every day. So I'm renewing my German or reviewing my German and trying to learn Spanish. And then they also have, so they have lessons, and then they have what they call exercises, where you just review the stuff that you already have gone over. And then they also have where you can repeat the lessons and get to like a level 2 or a level 3 at them. Oh, that cop should have stopped and helped this guy. Anyway, so it allows you to, what was that? Was that what I wanted? Oh. Okay. I'm getting confused. I was like trying to turn my cruise on and I was go, go, go. Anyway, so it's giving me a chance to, they have lessons and they have exercises, and so usually I do, on a daily basis, I do 1 lesson, and then I do an exercise, which helps me to review the things I already knew. And then after so many groups of getting a level 1, I've started to go back and get a level 2 at things. So all the stuff that I've did a while ago, you know, I'm like a level 2 on, and all the new stuff I'm a level 1. And go back, and so yo hablo un poquito español, muy poquito, and so it's very, anyway, it's hard for me to remember when I was that bad at German, when I knew so little German, and so it's a little frustrating on the Spanish side, because I feel like, you know, I should be getting the hang of this, but then I go and I try and form a sentence and I can, you know, it's not a real sentence. And anything outside of what I've seen in the app, I have pretty much no knowledge of. And so I don't remember being that way in German. I know there was a time when I was that way in German, and I still struggle in German. Like, it's my German is not as fluent as it once was. So I understand, you know, that I'm not perfect there either, but my level of German is so much higher than my level of Spanish. Oh, this is where I'm supposed to be turning. And that it's come on, really okay. I don't know, I think it's more than the power of my truck, it's my inability to use a clutch correctly. I think I'm still just getting used to my new clutch. I'm going for it. Hopefully I don't get a ticket. I did. $170. That's like 10% of what I'm making on this job. Anyway, so it's hard to remember when I was that bad at German. I mean, I know there was a time when I was that bad in German. I remember when I first started learning it and I got in a conversation with a German this one day, and I was so lost. Like, I had no idea what was being said. And so, you know, I know there was a time when that was my German. I try and listen in on people speaking Spanish, which is much easier than, you know, German, because it just happens a lot more. I'm a lot more likely to see somebody speaking Spanish than somebody speaking German. But I try and listen in, and I have no idea what's going on. You know, it's just so fast and so fluent, and I'm lost. So anyway, it's kind of fun to learn another language, and I've thought about learning Spanish for a long time, and in truth, there was a part of me that was like, well, you really ought to just practice your German instead of trying to learn another language, and part of me that would prefer to do that anyway, but now with my kids taking Spanish, there's more motivation to learn some. My wife grew up in California, so she laughs at my absolute lack of knowledge. I did not grow up with a lot of people speaking Spanish, so I, even just things that she finds insanely simple, and I have no idea what's even going on, and she just laughs at me. So there's, hopefully that's going to get better though. I think at this point I probably, at least to an extent, can understand as much Spanish as she does. Now that doesn't mean that we understand the same things, because any language has, you can have a certain fluency in a language and still not understand everything. But another one, someone else that has maybe less, they just happen to know that vocabulary. And don't get me wrong, I would not even qualify myself as having any level of fluency in Spanish. And at this point, my fluency in German is questionable. Back when I left Germany, then I actually think I had a fairly good accent. I mean, people still thought that I was not German. But I remember when I first got there and everybody, said, "Oh, you're American," because, well, we Americans say our sounds in a certain way and everything, and it was pretty obvious to anybody that I was American. Whereas by the time I left, they just thought I was British, which is actually better, because the American R is the only, to my knowledge, it's the only R like it. And so the British R is much closer to than the American R is to the German R, and so I took that as a compliment that they thought I was British instead of American. Especially when I hear Americans speak German. Oh, that's just, I was like, I hear like someone's fan belt or something, but it's actually a sound from in-game. Not sure where it was coming from, but I think it was from in-game. So anyway, so it's kind of fun to go in and learn another language again, something I haven't done in a decade and a half. But it also is fun to brush up on my German, and makes me want even more to go to Germany or to go to Europe or international, specifically Europe. But that's a very expensive proposition. And then a part of me wants to go and say, well, we could just, my wife and I could go, do it just the two of us. We could probably get one of the grandparents, one of the sets of grandparents to take the kids while we were gone or whatever, and go make a trip out of it for just us. But then there's another part of me that, says, well, wouldn't it be good for them to have the cultural experience that going on a European trip would bring? And then in reality, we're probably 10 years away from making such a trip, in which case, maybe that would be more feasible. Anyway, so I've definitely got to figure out this clutch, because the truck seems to have enough power, but I'm struggling so much with getting started, and I think it's just 300 kilometers. Good for now. Anyway, I think it just has a hard time getting started because I'm just not doing a good job at clutching. So 300 kilometers would be another 4 hours or so at 80 kilometers an hour. Yep, I should be right about when it's time to go to sleep. We'll see how well I plan this. Anyway, if I get the clutch down, then I could probably haul heavier loads with this truck without going to a stronger engine. Now, on the upgrade path, anybody watching will notice that when I tried to upgrade the engine, it said, well, you know, that engine's not compatible with this transmission, so you've got to change that as well, which is part of that Volvo Real Engines and Transmissions mod that I've got going on. Because in real life, they don't do this in game with the stock transmissions and stuff, but transmissions are rated at a certain torque. You know, they can only handle so many Newton meters of torque, and if you go above that, then well, you have to get a different transmission to handle that. And so that's what this mod is doing. It's saying, no, you can't pair that with this transmission, which is cool. It also makes it where it's a much more expensive proposition to upgrade your engine. Now that's, or transmission, which is interesting because usually in real life, you know, you would buy the truck with the engine transmission pairing you want to have, because upgrading it later would be too expensive of a proposition. And so oh hey, I've got a Aldous Jacka. Sorry, let me see if I can move things just a little bit. I've kind of got my you know what, let me do this. I'm gonna go ahead and get my speech bot going so that I can see when somebody chats. I meant to do that beforehand and then I forgot. So that I can hear when you chat and I can respond. Aldous Judkus, hey, welcome to the stream. Anyway, so that's one of the things that they do with this mod is they say, well, you know, this transmission can't be paired with that engine, so deal with it, and it prompts you to buy the truck the way you want it to be, rather than doing a gradual upgrade, which is what people generally do in game. Also, the fact that I'm on the Real Economy mod makes the prospect of that extra money for upgrading over time I don't think I would be profitable if I did that. I just don't think I would. It would be wrong button. I would be it just wouldn't even be worth the money. You know, at $17,000, that's a lot of time behind the wheel before I make that back. For instance, I'm traveling 1,200 kilometers on this leg of the journey, or on this delivery, and it's only making me $2,100. And I already lost 170 of that to a red light. So there's the Real Economy mod definitely mixes things up. Makes everything different. So why is this guy on the side of the road there? Is he like hitchhiking? And time to slow down. Anyway, so this Real Engine and Transmission mod is an interesting proposition, and it also has, I mean, even within, you know, one engine transmission type, like for instance, I have the Volvo 12+2 paired with the 460 horsepower engine, but it actually had like 2 or 3 different, I think it was 2 different 12.2 transmissions I could have purchased for this one, depending on the gearing that I wanted, and they came with different rear axles and different gearing ranges for different purposes. So I chose to get the one that was slightly deeper so that I could handle a slightly heavier load. And that's my right turn, and I'm totally up on the roundabout there. Anyway, so I chose the slightly deeper one, which means I also actually it was wider all across. So there was one that was not quite as deep and not quite as high geared, which means that each of the gears would have been closer together. Or this one, which had the crawler gears that were deeper, and it also had the higher overdrive setup. So okay, let's do this. I forgot to turn on my turn signal. Anyway, so I like the more realism that brings. This is an interesting road. Okay, so we will go back to here. Is that a cop? That does look like it's a policeman. Okay. And he is turning just like I am. Okay, let's get back up to speed now. How many miles do I have on this? 250 miles, kilometers. 250 kilometers. Okay, so about 150 miles left on the tank. 250. I think I'm still going to make it. So I need to actually start looking at that. I need to find me a gas station that is right there. That might be about perfect, actually. So if I go... If I plan, can I sleep at that? I can't sleep at that, so I'm gonna have to fuel up, and then I can probably sleep at the dealership over here, maybe? Or over there. Okay, so I actually need to add this in here. I'm not sure which one is the entrance. I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. Okay. Anyway, now one thing though is after you use this mod, if you're using any of those engines and transmissions, then if you switch away from the mod, I think it breaks. I think it breaks the truck, because it's like, I don't have a transmission and I don't have an engine or whatever. But the guy who made the mod, or at least the marketing part for the mod, says, you know, that they actually took the real torque curves for the engines and real gear ratios and put them together to make it. So anyway, okay, just a sec. Let me make sure. Sorry, I'm making sure my voice to chat is working. Okay. It is, okay. So anyway, so that's it's a nice mod. Again, once it's enabled, I think what you have to do is go in and get rid of them before you do an upgrade. So like in a little bit here, I would be upgrading to the 1.31 update. I'm not currently running it because ProMods does not yet support 1.31. So I'm waiting until ProMods is upgraded before I move over. And when I do that, I may actually run into a problem where the real engines and transmissions mod isn't compatible either. And then am I going to have to, like, I don't know, sell my truck and do something that way? I'm not quite sure what that's going to do. So I guess I'll burn that bridge when I come to it. Cool. And that's the end of it. And now it's going to go back up to 90. Well, that was a bit of a speed trap. This is a cool forest. I like this. I think we're solidly in the Roost map section now, but I'm not 100% sure. This may be a part of ProMods. If anybody knows, let me know. I think this is part of the Roost maps. And in fact, this is recently is the first time I've ever actually played as part of the roost maps. I've had roost maps enabled for a long time, but I just never got around to doing it. I never really drove up where the map is. Oh, okay, so it's actually a roundabout. Okay. Dog of pills. Dog of pills. Okay, so there's a fuel stop right there. Okay, so I can go that way. Okay. Frame rate suffering. I always suffers when I get into town. That's the only part I don't like about pro mods. The frame rate always tanks in towns, in cities. Okay, so let's go ahead and parking brake it. Inspect our load here. I'm a little afraid how much this is going to cost. We'll have to see. I know the answer is probably way too much. Anyway, anybody who's watching, I usually stream at a higher quality here. I usually stream about 13 megabits. But my internet's suffering today, and I was only able to push 9 megabits. So hopefully it still looks okay. 1200. That's like half of what I'm even making on this job. I don't know as I'm actually like progressing on my money or not, because I've got my loan payments, I've got my red light running, I've got all kinds of stuff, and then with 1,200 euros, I think I'm coming out ahead. Okay, so we are gonna, you know what, I'm gonna snap a screenshot right now. That way I've got one for the thumbnail. Let me grab my keyboard, bring it around so I can move better. As much as I love my new steering wheel and stuff, there are some things that are less nice about it. One of them is that it's just, it's a bigger form factor. It takes up more space, and so my keyboard can't be where it used to be, and my mouse can't be where it used to be. And so it's a little more difficult to do some things. And then I've said this before, but I miss on my G920, Logitech provides software that you can remap pretty much. You can remap every key on there to anything, including the escape key or mouse clicks or whatever else. And so I would actually use that to map one of the buttons to the escape key, and I can't do that anymore. And so now I'm having to have the keyboard more readily accessible, where I can then hit the escape key. Something I'm missing. So Thrustmaster, if you want to get your suggestion from me, my suggestion would be to have some software that you can remap all of that stuff on, because you've got software where you can like calibrate things, which is great, definitely necessary, but the ability to remap keys would actually be a big addition. Because then one thing that I did with that before as well, we'll go ahead and park at this Scania dealer. One of the things that I would do with that before, oh, that was a lot sharper than I meant for it to be. One of the things I would do before is that I would actually map... Oh, come on. Am I? I am in crawl 2, but that should still be enough. Oh, there's my air. So the air can run out. This is not a sleeping spot? I thought this was a sleeping spot. Well, apparently this was all for nothing. I'm gonna have to go sleep at the other spot anyway. Anyway, one of the things that I did with the Logitech software is I would... you've got all the... come on. You've got all the default key layouts for all the different things. So instead of remapping those to the buttons on the controller, I would just use the Logitech software to map the controller to those keystrokes. That way, okay, what's going on here? Am I supposed to be going... Oh, I just need to get rid of that. Oh well. There we go. Okay. And so I would just map it. That way when I created a new profile, I didn't have to remap all of those keys every time because the software, the Logitech software, was automatically mapping it through. If there is a way to do that on the Thrustmaster and I'm just unaware of it, let me know in the chat. I would love to know any tricks like that. And if not, which I think is the case, Thrustmaster, that would be something that you could do to make me love your software as much as I love your hardware. But I didn't realize just how great that was, I think, until... Okay, come on. I didn't realize just how useful that was until now I don't have it. I mean, I did to an extent, because when I first started playing, then I would go into every profile I created and do those mappings. And then I figured out that I could do it, you know, in the software. I was like, well, this is a whole lot easier. But now that I don't have it, that's definitely a feature that I am missing, that I wish that I had. So, Thrustmaster, that would be a good help to your fans. Now on the other side, the other option, and this would actually be my preferred option, is if Steam would come out with the ability, and maybe they can't do this for licensing purposes and stuff, but if they would actually come up with the ability to configure Thrustmaster hardware. The reason I say that is because, and apparently this is not a spot that I can park. What? Is it only in the... Am I not far enough forward? Is it only in those other ones? There we go. Look, there we go. Apparently I was not up far enough. Anyway, because Steam also has the ability to configure things, and I actually love the way it does it, because it gives you all kinds of options. You can do long presses, you can do short presses, you can do double presses, and you can do modifiers and all kinds of stuff. And if Steam would come out with the ability to configure a Thrustmaster, I would be... Oh, that would be my dream right there. Because that would, I use, so I've got, where is it? So I've got a Steam controller here, which I actually use it to start and stop my stream and some different things. And then I use it other places. I got it at Christmas time, and it has some really cool stuff. But some things it's not so great at. I'm, you know, struggling to use it as a replacement for everything, although I do have a test profile I've created in here with everything mapped to the Steam controller, and it actually, you know, works surprisingly well. Come on. You know, it isn't nearly as good as a steering wheel and whatnot, and obviously it's not so good that I didn't buy a better steering wheel or something like that, you know. But I was actually surprised at how well I could map everything and how many of the features I could get mapped to that Steam controller between action layers and action sets and everything else you could do. It was actually very usable. Maybe I could do a stream someday and show the use of that, although, you know, after spending so much money on this hardware, the prospect of just turning around and, you know, playing with my Steam controller instead just and on top of that, it breaks, you know, I got the triple screen set up and it kind of breaks the immersion more than a little bit to guess I better turn on my headlights, huh? To be, you know, then playing with a controller, although there are worse things in the world. But so the Steam controller, or the Steam software and its ability to just configure everything under the sun. Now also, I'm unable to go into the normal Steam configuration because I'm using, for my triple screen setup, because my screens are not the same size, I can't use the regular NVIDIA software. And so I'm using a piece of software called SoftTH for a soft triple head. And what it does is it is a software solution. It replaces the Direct 3D9 DLL, and then you're able to use it with any setup. So I've got an ultra wide in the middle, and then I've got just standard wide screens on the sides, and it's able to do it. It's a little bit glitchy. It's not as nice as the hardware solution would be, I think. But it works, and it works way better than not. Anyway, so the because of using that, I can't get into the overlay, the Steam overlay, so I have to do it a different way, and I didn't get credit for discovering that. Oh well. I mean, I discovered the town, but I didn't see the question mark. I think it was just a recruiting center anyway, a recruitment agency. Okay. Cool. Anyway, so I wouldn't be able to, you know, just go into it in game and reconfigure stuff. I have to kind of do an Alt-Tab type setup. But if I had that ability, I could do everything I want probably just with the buttons on this controller right here. I wouldn't need a secondary controller. I wouldn't need a number pad to get the functionality that I don't have room to map. I mean, even things like on the Steam controller setup that I have for this, then one of the things I have is for cruise. Then I have, you know, to turn on cruise, you tap the button. To resume, you hold it down. Well, that's easy. And actually, no, it's different. The way I have it set up is you tap it to resume, or you tap it to set, tap it to resume on X and Y. What are those buttons? X and B, so set and resume. And then I totally just cut that guy off. And then if you want to increase it, you hold it down. It's so intuitive, and doubles the use of those buttons. And I totally stopped too early. And I don't know. I cannot do this clutch. So I feel like I should be able to start not in my crawler gear, but for whatever reason, I seem pretty much unable to do that. So I'm gonna have to practice with this clutch more, figure out why it's so difficult to do, and maybe I need to make it more linear or less linear. In fact, if I were to look at that, options, because I know on the Thrustmaster side I build in a little bit of a dead zone, so it's not, as I start to let it out, it's not even grabbing until right there. Maybe that's part of my problem, is it's just grabbing so late. And then I can't fix that easily. Yeah, it's not grabbing till there. Okay, and so I think what's happening is I'm giving up by the time it actually gets to the point that it grabs. But if I could get those, there's all kinds of things I could do here. They also have, in order to make it work on there, and because I can't see which layer I'm on, it works a little less than ideal. And maybe I could redo that a little better. But because of the layers, then I have it set up where, well, if I'm parked, you know, then I hit a button for when I'm parked, and then it goes into a certain layout when I'm parked, and then when I'm done being parked, then I hit the select button or something. I don't remember exactly what the button is, and it switches it back to another one, and then that's my driving mode. So I've got a parking and a driving. Now, because I can't see the Steam overlay because of the soft TH setup, I can't see which mode I'm on. So normally when you change action sets, then it will tell you the name of the action set that you're on, but I don't have that functionality, so it's a little bit harder to use than it otherwise would be. But it works, and it's like, oh, now I've got a whole controller layout for when I'm parked, and I can do all kinds of stuff. I can hazard lights, I can disconnect the trailer, I can fuel up, I can do all of that stuff. And then when I'm driving, I've got all those buttons for another purpose. And then I can, in both layouts, I can long press, I can short press, I can double press, I can do all of that. And so it ends up being really useful. So, long story short, if Steam could get the ability to map the Thrustmaster, that would be awesome, because then you could go in and, it's already got a bunch of buttons, right? But then it could then have each of those buttons have double or triple purposes and action layers and everything else to go along with it. And if you want to learn about that, there's a guy who has a channel called Existential Egg, and all he does on the channel is Steam controller. Like, that's his thing. But the nice thing is, a lot of what he does with the Steam controller are applicable to any game you're playing in Steam. If you're playing with an Xbox controller, you can use most of it with the Xbox controller. It's slightly different on the layout, but all of the configurable options are still there, no matter what controller you're using, Xbox controller, a PlayStation controller. They're all available. Okay, I gotta get in the crawler gear here, and we're gonna see if we can not stall this. And of course, I'm stopped like where I can't see. I'm all over the place. That was not at all what I wanted to do. Shifted all in the wrong order. Anyway, so the Steam configuration capability is really cool. And so that would probably be my preference over Thrustmaster getting good configuration, because that was one thing that I wished on the G920. It was great to have the software that Logitech had, but its ability versus what Steam can do was so much less that I had a... Man, I'm all over the place on my gearing. Anyway, so I guess I was a little bit ungrateful for the capabilities it had, because compared to what the Steam software could do, I was like, man, this is so short on features. And now that I don't have it, I'm like, man, I wish I had at least those features. But if Steam could work with some more people like Thrustmaster and Logitech to get the ability to configure them, then that would be, oh, it would be so beautiful. It would be such a great change and make so much more functionality. Now, I realize not everybody plays all their games on Steam, and that's okay. But I know I've added games in to be played on Steam just so I could use the configuration capability. Like I bought Dead Space. I bought Dead Space on Galaxy of Games and imported it into my Steam library because then I could configure the Steam controller to play on it. Now, that having been said, I haven't hardly played it. I watched a friend of mine play through the whole thing, which is what got me interested in it. Watched him stream it. Frequency Phi, I think is how he says it. And so, come on. Anyway, so that got me interested, and I haven't played it, but I found it on Galaxy of Games for a few dollars at the time, and so I went ahead and I bought it and immediately imported it into my Steam. And then like a week later it came up for sale on Steam, and I was like, I should have just bought it on Steam, because a lot of people I've heard have complaints about the Steam client, that it tries to do too much. It ought to just be a game downloading system or a game purchasing system and not being anything else. But I actually really love the configuration capability that it has. And for Christmas, I bought a Steam Link. It was on sale at, Black Friday sale or whatever, or after Thanksgiving. So I picked up the Steam controller and a Steam Link. And Steam Link's great for, I don't own a console, and so it's kind of our console where we hop on and we play Lego Worlds or whatever as a family. And I've got a couple of Xbox controllers that I hook up to it, as well as the Steam controller. I also have my DualShock controller, all of which run great on it, not an issue. In fact, the DualShock can Bluetooth directly to the Steam controller, so that works pretty well, or to the Steam Link, so that works pretty well. And so anyway, it's just kind of this console type experience, except we get to play computer games on it. Most of the time kids and I will play like Lego Jurassic Park or Lego Worlds or Lego Harry Potter. Are you seeing a theme here? The other one that we actually play, or I should say there was a time when we were playing quite a bit of, was Cave Blazers. Right after I bought Cave Blazers, we played quite a bit of Cave Blazers on it. Good experience, great little box. I got it for sale for $10. Would I pay $50 for it? Probably not. But for $10, yeah, it was a good use of money. And again, it comes in with that whole Steam capability that some people feel like Steam shouldn't be doing, that I actually like. I think it adds a lot to the system and to the ecosystem. Just like the Steam controller. In fact, I'm a little bit interested to see what when they make it, what improvements are made on Steam Controller 2 or whatever it's going to be called, because I think that they've done some really good things with this one, and I also think that it's quite obviously their first take at designing a controller, and on the next iteration I think they'll do a little bit better. But I'm quite happy with the current iteration, so that's not necessarily a problem. So I do have to stop. Okay, clutch practice. I did a lot better that time. Now I was in crawler gear, so. And it looks like I am crossing into Russia now. Only 12 hours to go before delivery. In truth, I do not think that we're going to make this delivery during this stream. I have only got another 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes that I can stream. And I'm pretty sure we will not be through that delivery and this delivery in that much time. So they're all like, I feel like they're gonna not like me. Okay. Okay. Didn't do so badly on those shifts or on that start, so maybe I'm getting used to the clutch. I don't have to pay quite so much attention, and I can remember my gearing. Anyway, so that would be my wish. If I had my wish for the Thrustmaster, my top of the list would probably be that Steam can configure it. Now maybe it can, and I just don't know it, because there is an option in Steam to configure generic controllers. Maybe if I enabled that, then it could do it, and I could just go in and say, okay, this comes through as button 6, and I want it to be configurable. Maybe after this stream I'll actually do a little looking into that, because if it could, that would be awesome. I would be all over that. Well, I'm getting used to the hat being my cruise. It's still a little hard to get the hat to do exactly what I want, and I think the reason is I want to, it looks like it's at an angle, so I want to use it at an angle, but I don't think it's actually at an angle. I think it's mounted in there straight up and down, so I've got to just use it as if it were straight up and down rather than the angle like it looks like it is. That's weird. Okay, it's just the angle of that makes it look like it is. I was just looking up in the corner. I've got, one of the look over the front mirrors, and that mirror always looks like I'm off the line, but it's just because it's a convex mirror, and so it makes the lines look closer to me than I actually am. I'm interested to see, so I use a mod that's the real point of view mirrors. Now you guys actually can't see the mirrors I'm looking at, and I don't think it has any effect on the virtual mirrors that you can see. But I'm interested to see with 1.31 whether it basically is mimicking what this mod does, where it makes it better that way, or if it actually does something else. I'm sure it's going to break this mod, so I'm not going to be able to use that anymore at that point, but maybe it becomes an unnecessary mod because they build it into the game at that point. One of my complaints about this game, and I'm not sure how to undo it, I've already got the mirrors set to high quality, and the problem I have is that the virtual mirrors are a lot higher resolution than the actual rendered mirrors are. So like the rendered mirrors are pretty low resolution, but then the virtual mirrors, they're nice. Like they're normal resolution. They look great, and they're actually easier to use than the other mirrors are. And maybe that's part of what's been fixed in 1.31. Again, for anybody wondering, I am not running 1.31 because it's not compatible with Pro mods, and I like to play with Pro mods. So I'm still using 1.30. I'm hoping within the next week, probably, Pro mods will come out with an update that will work, and then I'll be able to use it at that point. There are also a slew of other mods I'm using that hopefully come out with updates as well. Otherwise, I might end up having to figure out which ones I can do without and which ones I can't do without. Have to see. I've been complaining the last few streams when I take screenshots and stuff that my truck's just not all that shiny. I wonder if that's so I've got the realistic I'm totally passing you. I've got the realistic graphics mod on, and I wonder if that's actually something to do with that. versus, you know, the stock gain. I went into the settings the other day to try and change it so that, you know, see if maybe I had the reflections turned down or something, and I don't. So it should be as shiny as it is going to get, but looks like I've got some construction going on up here. That is not what I meant to do. I totally clicked the wrong button there. Anyway, so the reflections are turned up and stuff, so that shouldn't be the problem. But I'm not really, I just feel, I look at my screenshots from American Truck, and maybe it's just the difference between the two, but I see my screenshots from American Truck, and I'm like, man, those look really good. And then I see my screenshots from here, and it's like, they don't look so good. Oh, that is really close. How close am I? Oh, not as close as I thought. Okay, I'm gonna need the crawler gear here. See, it didn't grab till like the very end. Also, if you've noticed, my mega shifter spins a little bit here and there when I pull on it too hard. I'm actually waiting for my new, so I've still got the adapter from my G920 on it, and I'm waiting for my Thrustmaster adapter to come in. And once that comes in, hopefully I'll be able to get it on there a little more tightly, and it will give me less problems. Sometimes when it basically happens when I pull on the splitter when it's already back, or if I pull too hard when I'm putting it back, and then it ends up kind of twisting a little bit. I also think I could probably fix it. There's a little nut, not a little nut, a fairly big nut up inside there that I could probably tighten down a little bit, and I was trying to before the stream, but I was running out of time. So, oh, I can go 90 now. Look at that. Anyway, so there's that, and it keeps pulling a little bit, and the fact that it's just a little bit loose is less than ideal. But it's not a problem of the mega shifter itself, it's just the fact, I think, that I don't have the right adapter yet. $90. Everything went really quiet. Why is that? I'm not sure what just happened. Did my engine die? Seems to still be going. Oh, I bumped, okay. I was like, whoa, everything went really quiet. But I bumped, there's a volume back here on my headset, and I bumped that. I was like, why did everything go quiet? It shouldn't have gone quiet on me. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay. Oh. That's weird. I just got a weird noise in my headset. Anyway. How far am I from needing to sleep? 3 hours. So come about midnight, I need to have a spot to sleep. And that will probably be a good time to call it on the stream too. Give me time to make it to what I need to at 3:30. So 3 hours, 15 minutes in game maybe. Ought to put me there. I don't get, so a minute ago I was able to go 90, but it was only for like a couple of minutes, and now I'm back to like 70. I'm not sure. Now I've got some corners coming up. See how sharp they actually end up being. They're trying to warn me that they're sharp corners, but I'm not sure if they're actually sharp corners. Looks like they might actually be sharp corners, so I'm going to start slowing down just a bit. Not a ton, but a bit. Use my engine brake to not let my truck run away. Okay, that was doable. I don't even have to... I could have gone down a gear to help me pull that hill there at the end. I'm okay with that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and kick my cruise down to about 70. Well, with the corners and stuff, I don't want to have things get away from me. Police cop pulled him over, huh? Okay, 2 hours. So I need to be watching for a place to sleep. In fact, I'm going to do a quick look at my map here. Oh, well, maybe I'll just sleep right there. Because there's not a place for a while after that, unless I... that gas station would probably work. Actually, we'll do the gas station. Okay, gas station it is. Anyway, if you can't tell, I am actually pretty impressed with Steam's ability to configure things. Again, Existential Egg is the name of the YouTube channel. And all the guy does, he specifically concentrates on the Steam controller. And he does some really cool things with the Steam controller, way better. He's better with the Steam controller than I am with like an Xbox controller. And proof of that is I actually had been doing lots of stuff with the Steam controller, trying to make it be my controller. And then I bought Dark Souls 3. I was like, okay. So I went to Dark Souls 3 and I was like, I am gonna play this with the Steam controller. In fact, I've got like 1 or 2 videos that I streamed of Dark Souls 3. And my original plan when I was going into those is I'm gonna set up a Steam controller profile that works, and I'm gonna play Dark Souls 3 with the Steam controller. Now that having been said, I haven't seen him play Dark Souls 3 with the Steam controller. But I got in, and it'd been a long time since I'd played any Dark Souls. And so I get into playing Dark Souls, and I was like, okay, this is even harder than I remember. Like, I know Souls games are hard, don't get me wrong. But, like, I'm dying everywhere. Like, in the tutorial, everything. I couldn't do it. I was fighting the first boss, Gunder, whatever name, Lokison, or I don't remember what his name is. Anyway, the first boss there, and I was getting slaughtered, just everywhere, royally slaughtered. And I tried, and it's just like, well, you know, it's a Souls game. It's hard. I mean, that was kind of what I was looking at it as, you know, as well. It's a Souls game. What can you expect? And then finally, just out of curiosity, I was like, okay, so I broke out one of my Xbox controllers, and it was night and day. Now, I still died a lot, don't get me wrong. It's a Souls game. But the difference was just night and day. So I love my Steam controller. In fact, there are lots of things that the Steam controller can do that I don't think pretty much any other controller currently on the market can do. But it's not for every game, and at least for me it's not. Ooh, here's my... So I didn't, you know, this whole passing him just barely was very, very useful. So I'm gonna just, you know, pass him and then slam on my brakes. I guess he turns and doesn't care, but... And I totally nailed that. What did I just hit? I mean, I know that I hit back there some. Is that all I hit? And I just took it out. And they're just laughing at me. Oh, I'm not in crawl. Nope. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it over that. Okay, so we're going to have to go back just a little bit. And come on. Anyway, yeah, so he can do things with a Steam controller that I probably couldn't do with an Xbox controller, in truth, or keyboard and mouse, or, you know, pick your... I probably couldn't do that. He could probably drive better with the Steam controller than I can drive with, you know, a Thrustmaster set. So he's pretty good with it. But the other cool thing about watching his channel is that you learn about configuring stuff with Steam, which is, of all the stuff, I mean, it's fun to watch him do all kinds of crazy things with the Steam controller. But of everything I get from his channel, the thing I get most is just all the myriad of things that you can do with Steam when controlling controllers, or configuring controllers. And so that's fun on his channel, to just he goes through all the different ways that you can configure. I'm gonna do another. Do something like that. Turn it just a little bit. Okay. And then, anyway, so it's fun to just watch him do that. And then in the meantime, let's go ahead and or kill the engine. And I'm going to sleep, because if I don't sleep now, then when I get on next time, I'll forget to sleep, and then I'll take off and end up needing to sleep. So, $839 was paid on my loan. I swear I'm losing money. Like, I am... Not too long ago, I was at $24,000. Now I'm down to like $18,500. And I'm just not sure what to do to get that better. Like, to... this economy mod is definitely a different world. So, if I look at the bank, how much the bank is willing to let me borrow? $375,000, huh? So how much does it take to upgrade my garage in Salzburg? 5,500? Really? I could do that. Oh no, that's how much it's making. Okay, upgrade. 90,000. Okay, so it would take 90,000 to do that, and then another 100,000 or so to buy a truck. So I could give my driver this truck and buy another one. So I would have to take out $250,000 to do that. Let's see. So 250,000. So if I went to the bank, you know what? Before we stop here, I'm totally going to do that. So I am going to hire a driver, and I am going to give them a truck. Let's see. Hire recruitment agency. Okay. So if I go hire a driver, who's the best driver I can hire? Okay, that's fine. $16 a delivery, 32 cents a kilometer. I think they're all the same. 1531. 1531. Okay, so she is good at eco driving and fragile and long distance and explosives. He's good at, really good at, oh, not, that's high. Okay, no, we're gonna do this. Okay, let's go to a, first of all, bank. We're gonna take out 250,000. Yes. And then we're going to go to the car dealership, or the truck dealer, not the car dealer. Except I have to visit them, huh? Scania. Ah, dang it. I'll have to do it after I finish my delivery. So next time, I've got to buy another truck. I just took out a big loan to buy a truck. Now the other option is I could take this loan that I currently have and pay off my other 2 loans. It's a slightly bigger payment, but it's a lower interest rate. That would probably be not a bad plan. And then if I paid those off, that would be 96. Should be able to get another 250 when I come back. That's okay. You know what? Let's do that. Okay. Oh, there we go. Repay. Okay, repay you. Yes. Repay you. Yes. Okay, so I can get another 250. Let's go ahead and, while I'm thinking about it, let's look at upgrading this garage. Yes. That way, at least I won't forget that part. And it's going to show me the cutscene now of upgrading my garage. Okay. Come on. There we go. There's my new garage. 1, 2, 3. Now the question I'm wondering, and it'll be interesting to see, is whether my drivers actually make money. They make money in the core game just fine, but I'm really wondering if they make money with the economy mod. So that's probably it for today. Thanks to anybody that watched the stream. Thanks for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be streaming again sometime. I don't have any set schedule at this point. I just kind of stream when I feel like it. So I'll be streaming again probably either tomorrow night. Actually, I will plan on streaming tonight. I'll plan on streaming tonight. 8. Let's make it 9 o'clock tonight. I'll be on. I know I've got time tonight, and I would love to get back on here and keep going. So 9 o'clock tonight, I will set up an event for another stream, and hopefully I see you then. Thank you all. Okay, yep, thanks to everybody, and have a good evening.